too quick.
It'll take us a minute to find the page.
How's that?
It'll take us a minute to find the page.
Oh, no, 7:34. I never give a wrong number.
And you don't
We
duplicate the
just don't
song.
be listening, that's right.
That's good. Yeah.
Sounds great.
It's not a wrong number, it's just not a number that I had planned. All right, if you would take songbook, turn to numbers. Let's see, got about 7:33.
30 what?
33.
Never too long.
Said 37 minutes.
Right next to it.
Look at that. No, 7:33. And after we sing this, James, if you lead us in prayer, and then we'll be ready to start our lesson. 7:33. From every stormy wind that blows, from every swelling tide of woe, there is a calm, a sure retreat. 'Tis found beneath the mercy seat. There is a place where Jesus shed the oil of gladness on our head, a place that all besides more sweet. It is the blood of mercy seat. There is a scene where spirits blend, where friends hold fellowship with friends. Though thunders fall by faith they meet, around one common mercy seat. There on eagle's wings we soar, and sin seems all no more, and hell comes down our souls to greet, and glory crowns the mercy seat.
Heavenly Father, we come to thee at this time. Thank you, Lord, for this beautiful Lord's Day that you have blessed us with, allowing us to come out here to sing songs of praise to thee, make our wishes known to thee, to study thy word. Pray, Lord, that you will bless those that are here, bless those that cannot come out this day due to sicknesses and illnesses. And if any others are on their way, give them safe passage when they get here. Lord, be with us as we go through this study. Be with our instructor as we will make known to us his knowledge of the word that is put forth in front of us this day. We ask, Lord, that you forgive us of any sins that we may have laid up against us. This we ask through thy Son Jesus' name. Be thy will. Amen.
Morning, class. I hope you started the lesson. I said lessons, I didn't say lesson. I done went through, I forgot how many, I might be close to the end of the book. That don't really do me no good though, when it comes down to what you want to talk about, you forget all that other stuff. But the book of Exodus that I'm studying now is not necessarily in chronological order, it's how they did the lesson, you know, to help us understand what's going on. So they don't take out every, mention every little thing and then go by the thing that is important to put these lessons in. Lessons in this is, we in winter, right? So yeah, next time we'll go, should be getting new books soon then, if that's the case. But anyhow, you know how, you understand how they structure, you know, and help us better learn the things that
together and said, all that the Lord has spoken, we will do. So Moses brought back the words of the people to the Lord. And the Lord said to Moses, behold, I come to you in the thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with you and believe you forever. So Moses told the words of the people to the Lord. Then the Lord said to Moses, go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes. And let them be ready for the third day. For on the third day the Lord will come down upon Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. You shall set bounds for the people all around, saying, take heed to yourselves that you do not go up to the mountain or touch its base. Whoever touches the mountain shall surely be put to death. Not a hand shall touch him, but he shall surely be stoned or shot with an arrow. Whether man or beast, he shall not live. When the trumpet sounds long, they shall come near the mountain. So Moses went down from the mountain to the people and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said to the people, get ready for the third day. Do not come near your wives.
Okay, they're supposed to sanctify themselves, wash their clothes, man don't touch their wives. You come to the mountain, don't touch it. Because God's glory is there, and if you do, you surely will die. Even your cattle or your sheep, your pet dog, if he comes to that mountain, you will die. Yes, sir. Oh, and which one is this? Okay. It's not on here today. Can you hear, sir? Okay. You want me to go over what I just talked about?
Yeah, because I didn't hear you.
You didn't hear me either? You see what I got to go through? What? First day back, man. First day back. I'm going to stop that. Okay. Questions about Mount Sinai? Anybody? Before we move on. This was what?
Some people just want to touch the mountain.
I'm sure that wouldn't surprise me. I'm sure,
I'm going to touch that thing.
yeah, I'm sure there are people who would do that. You know, when God talked to the children of Israel about the route they should take, you remember he said that he didn't want them to go around the Philistines? Y'all remember that? Why do you think so?
I thought it had to do with they would have to be in battle with them in the fear of
Go ahead. Yeah.
facing an opponent so early after leaving.
Yeah, facing them Philistines.
Yeah.
Philistine class were tough. You hear me? When you read about it, that's where the Anak and them come from, the giants. And, end up being Goliath fighting David. The land of the Philistines was allotted to Judah, but they couldn't defeat them. After all this was over, when it was all the land was allotted and things, there were still lands in these tribes that they hadn't really conquered, and they let these people live. And the Philistines was the land that belonged to, or was given to Judah, and they didn't conquer it. That's why they had so much trouble with the Philistines years later, because they hadn't killed them as God had said they should. But anyhow, you're right. God knew. The Bible doesn't say it, but he told God, it mentions that God took them around another route, because I'm sure if they looked at some of the Philistines, they'd have been like the spies who went out and came back and talked about people from Anak lived there. They're giants, you see. So they were people to be feared. And I'm sure God, knowing the hearts of man, he knew it would cause problems. As many times as we read about it coming to a place that don't have no water, I think all these things were tests. God sent them that way to test them, that they would depend on God. They come up here, they don't have no water. God give them water. They come back the next time, they murmur, they don't have nothing to eat. Instead of depending on God and just listening to Moses, they start to murmur and complaining. And he even went so far as to say when they were back in Egypt, they had the meat pots and sit down, and man, that's a slap in the face. You know, God done brought you out of the bondage and taken you to a better place. And all you can think about how you used to eat the leeks and the onions and all. Oh, my goodness, you see. But God would, and it got so what it called Moses to sin, and Moses ended up, he didn't go to the promised land with him. Okay. Where were we? In the introduction, would somebody read the introduction?
The children of Israel came to the wilderness of Sidon in the third month after they had gone out of the land of Egypt. This area was not unknown to Moses. He tended sheep in the region. More importantly, it is where God first called to him from the burning bush, Mount Sinai, which is sometimes called Horeb. It is frequently described as the mountain of God. As the nation journeyed to this location is significant. When God first called Moses to lead the Israelites, he promised, I will certainly be with you, and this will be a sign to you that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve God on this mountain. The word serve is also translated worship. This is precisely what God said the children of Israel would do. During the time Israel was encamped at Sinai, God delivered his law to Moses. Moses was then responsible for relaying the law to the house of Jacob. Specifically, Moses was expected to tell the people about the covenant relationships they would enjoy with God, a relationship contingent upon obedience and faithfulness. Regarding this point, the Lord was clear. Now therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, then you shall be a special treasure to me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. After receiving the message, Moses laid before them all these words which the Lord commanded him. The scene at Mount Sinai was when Moses went up on the mountain was especially noteworthy. There was no doubt God was present. There was likewise no doubt about the sacredness of the occasion. The Israelites were to be consecrated beforehand, and they were not to go near or touch the mountain. Describing this terrifying occasion, Exodus 9:18 states, Now Mount Sinai was completely in smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire. Its smoke ascended like the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mountain quaked greatly. The author of Hebrews also referenced the scene when he drew a sharp contrast between Israel's Sinai encounter with God and what Christians face when they approach God. He explained to Christians, For you have not come to the mountain that may be touched, and that burned with fire, and to blackness and darkness and tempest, and the sound of the trumpet, and the voice of words, so that those who heard it begged that the word should not be spoken to them anymore. He concluded his discussion by declaring, For our God is a consuming fire. As Israel learned at Sinai, God must be held in reverence.
God must be held in reverence. Because of what? He's God. He's God. We need God. God don't need us. You know, why do people continue to sin and do things that are wrong and know God's going to punish them or they'll be punished for it? Because we always think God thinks like us. I really believe that. I think man thinks God thinks like us. There's a guy I used to work with. He's left a place where we work at now, the barrack, and he's gone on to some other place. But he used to tell me, hey, he's seen God. And God told him this, and God told him. I said, man, the Bible says, no man has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son who is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him. In other words, he's declared by those who seen Christ. But no man has ever seen God not and live. And he beat me down, he seen God. I stopped talking about it. You don't. Man, we have, even though we read this class, I don't think we really understand how it is to see God. You know, we won't see God until we say at the end, when the word comes, we call it. God's a spirit. And why do you think the Bible says that they that worship him must worship him how? In spirit and in truth. I don't think we think God's a spirit. You don't just look at no spirit. You don't even understand how he operates because he made you. We didn't make him. We gotten so smart, we dumb. It's the truth. We are so smart in some things, we say some things make you wonder. And when it comes down to God, because, well, a lot of times, too, most people who think that way aren't religious as far as, you know, worshiping God and things of that nature, you know.
Yeah, we realize, I mean, we need to realize and think about the situation with Moses on the mountain. When God told him, you know, put your face in that cleft, and I'm going to pass behind you. And what was Moses' appearance when he came off the mountain?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't look upon God.
Mm-hmm.
God just passed by him.
Yeah.
You know?
It's something to think about, you know. But back to Exodus, the journey, Israel are just starting to find problems as they further travel. If they're going to have all kind of problems, we don't have this, we don't have that, we don't. What God do you know could allow you to wander in the wilderness for 40 years and your clothes and shoes and things just like they were when you started?
And they complained about it.
That's exactly right. See? But it just goes to show you. So sometimes I think when we trying to teach people things, you wonder why people say this, and they say, because people are people. People are going to be this way until the world comes to an end. You're not going to make people, you know, they're going to be people who will say, God, they saw God and God told them this as long as the world is here. Because you didn't see him and you didn't hear him, they did. See, so, you know, but I think we need to keep that in mind. And the children of Israel are just now starting to have issues. As we go on further to the book, we'll see the problem. But, man, you know how old Moses was in our class?
120?
He was 80. He lived 120. His life was in 40 years. 40 years, and back. And the 40 years with the children of Israel. And, you know, he's up in age, and he got to go through this. And no wonder he became angry and struck the rock. But God told him to speak to it. And the people caused him not to go in, even though, you know, he's the one who did it, but because of the aggravation and so forth and so on.
I'll try to make I'll try to make comment.
Yeah.
You know, and you had mentioned this when you began, you know, it's not real, the lessons are not laid out chronologically.
Yeah.
Order, you know, he skips place to place. And, you know, the lesson text this morning starts off it's in the 3rd month since they left Egypt. A lot has happened since they crossed the Red Sea. And they traveled from the crossing of the Red Sea to Mount Sinai is probably, it's over 200 miles. So they've traveled for 3 months over that distance. And a lot's happened. You know, God has had to take care of them. He's had to provide manna. They thirst and they cry for water. And so I believe in chapter 16 or 17 or 18, you know, Moses has to, that's where God tells him to strike the rock.
Mm-hmm.
When he strikes the rock and the water comes out. And, but also, you know, they've avoided going through the land where the Philistines are, but that doesn't mean they didn't have troubles, because, you know, we read about the nomadic, the Amalekites, who were sort of nomadic tribes. The Amalekites are attacking, and so they battle the Amalekites, and there's Moses. God tells Moses, he has to hold up his staff.
Yeah.
Hold his arms up, and of course he's holding his arms up all day long, and he gets tired, and as his arms come down, they start, as long as he's holding his arms up, you know, they're winning the battle, and as his arms come down, and so they have to come help him and prop his arms up, And,
Yeah. They didn't put, I don't think that's nowhere in the lesson. Yeah, there's a lot of things that left out because the way they want it structured, you have to read that for yourself, But there is in the book of Deuteronomy, where God told Moses, write these things in a book.
yes,
I will utterly destroy Amalekite from the face of the earth.
because of what they.
And that's why Saul got in trouble, because he should have killed that Amalekite king, and he didn't. God said he didn't want him on the earth. Because why? It attacked the rear of the children of Israel departing or marching. This is where they put the older people and the younger people where they could be protected by the fighting men and so forth in the front. They came around and attacked them from the back. And God said, no, I want them all dead. And then you come along and you're going to say something of them. So, yeah.
You're
But
right.
yeah.
When we look at the history of the Israelites, they know their history, from the beginning of time to and they know they've gone through 430 years of captivity from Israel. And, yeah, it's been hardship, but, God has taken care of them through this time. And now he's promised them something and leading them to a better place, and they're complaining.
Yeah. That's why I said, class, I believe that a lot of it, well, maybe all of it, the things that they went through, God was testing them. Because every time they done something or needed something, God gave it to them. Why would you test God? Why would you think, you keep complaining. What you complaining about? Well, I know we ate better than this when we ate better. Oh, yeah? What God gave you,
You didn't have to work for it.
but no, what God gave you, that, a manna really means what is it? Because they had never seen this before. This is, when you translate it, it means what is it? This is what they was asking, what is it? Now, God gave them manna that satisfied their needs, not what they wanted. But everything they needed was in the manna. Only God could do that. Why are you complaining? Because it don't taste like the leeks? Come on, But I'm saying a lot of this was like tests. And every time they murmured and complained about something, God gave it to them. So God knew they were going to complain. But I'm saying, when are you going to realize, hey, man, God's going to take care of us? He brought us through the Red Sea. Man, if I had went through the Red Sea, believe me, I wouldn't have complained about nothing. I'm just saying how man is, though. That's the weakness of man, So we'd have the same problems today, though. If it would happen today, you would have people would do the same thing.
Getting ready to turn on God again.
Yeah. That's what it looked like, bro?
They get ready to have Aaron
Yeah, I know. Okay.
after 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
After only 3 months until the
Let's move on. It says Moses meet God. Will someone read that, please? Exodus 19, 1 through 6.
The children of Israel moved from their camp at
Rephidim.
Rephidim, thank you, to a new encampment in the wilderness of Sinai. According to Stewart, or Stroud, the actual distance from Rephidim to Sinai may have been only a few miles. So the Israelites could have made the journey described here from one encampment to another in a day. Indeed, the supernatural provisions of water for the people described in 17:6 seems to suggest that while encamped at Rephidim, the Israelites had to get their water at the base of Sinai, Horeb. Many people must have welcomed the move to the mountain, since the daily round trip of water would have been, okay, somebody said that,
Enervating.
What's that mean?
Energy. We're using energy
A
here.
lot of energy, okay. And in all probability, driving herds and flocks there for watering did not constitute enjoyable recreation. Regardless, Israel was now stationed before the mountain. After the nation's arrival, Moses went up to God, and God provided Moses with information to say to the house of Jacob and tell the children of Israel. According to Roper, God offered to make a covenant with Israel, and Moses went down and repeated God's offer. The conversation recorded in Exodus 19:4 through 6 sets forth God's terms for the covenant relationship. He declared, "You have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself." Because he had proved himself faithful, he demanded Israel's faithfulness and added, "Now therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, then you shall be a special treasure to me above all people, for all the earth is mine, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation." Garrett explained, Israel would, in contrast to the nations, enjoy a special relationship to God, a status that could rightly be called a national priesthood. Israelites, in contrast to all other peoples of the earth, would have special knowledge of God in the Torah.
Torah.
They alone could participate in worship at the sanctuary in which he dwelt, and they alone could partake of Passover. They also could call upon him by his chosen name, Yahweh. I guess that's called
Yahweh.
Yahweh, and he would answer them. All peoples of the earth belong to God, but Israel's relationship to him was special. They knew God.
That's true.
I think in the Hebrew language there are any vowels.
Huh?
I think in the Hebrew language there are any.
Oh, any vowels?
Yeah.
Well, that's how we pronounce the name, though. We look at the vowels, and we come out with, yeah. They don't have what is it?
Vowels. The vowels.
Yeah, I ain't talking about I'm trying to, J. They don't have a J in their language at all. Yeah. So, that's why we run around and talking about Jehovah's Witnesses. You can't even pronounce God's name. See? And you didn't witness nothing. That's the children of Israel witness thing what Isaiah talked about. We haven't witnessed anything that God done by sight. We witness it by reading what he says in the word maybe, but we haven't seen anything. God, you couldn't see God and live anyhow. That's just the point, you see. But anyhow, where it says here, many people must have welcomed the move to the mountain, since the daily round trip for water would have been enervating, and in all probability driving herds and flocks there for watering did not constitute enjoyable recreation. Regardless, Israel was not stationed before the mountains. So, what are you saying? These people had a hard time, that's why they did this? You got to be careful about commentary. Let me tell you something. They did what God said to do. That's what we should do. Don't make no excuses for them. They had no excuses. I'm saying, brothers and sisters, listen, you got to go back and read it. When they saw the walls of water and they went through the Red Sea, that should have been enough for anybody in his right mind to trust God. And they didn't, because they're man. We the same way today. Don't think because we know it, we wouldn't do it. I don't mean us in here, but I mean, man hasn't changed. Man still disobey God. How many times you seen brothers who used to preach the gospel in the Church of Christ end up going somewhere in denomination and teach, bro? Running after that mighty dollar. Don't say what we won't do, because we will. We just have to pray, God, that we have enough strength to continue to try to do what's right. You see, look, since I've been here, look how many people we got. We used to have people on both sides, man. That's what I'm talking about. So, it's easy to say it or make excuses. They don't have an excuse, because God was with them. The day they had the cloud, at night they had the fire. So.
And that's what gets you to show you where we're no different than the Israelites at that time. Because, here they are, we have see everything through his word. But they were in the presence of God. Like you said, they walked a wall of water on both sides of them, going across the Red Sea. They seen what happened at the Passover. They seen the plagues. God has taken care of it. Like I said, these 3 months down through here. doing the things of the world. You know,
It says here, he declared, you have seen what I did to the Egyptians. You've seen this. And how I bore you on eagle wings, I took care of you and brought you to myself. Man, that's enough for you to still regard the rest of your life. You know?
But you know, just what Butch was saying also is that they only knew in part. And they believed, even though these things took place, but they still believed in part, because they didn't have the full picture. With us, we have the entire picture of what happened. We have it from Adam and Eve, all the way to the crossing of the Red Sea, all the way to the promise of the coming of our last days here. And we see the whole story, and we still, that's the scary part about us. We still fight God. We still go against his will.
You know, Satan's hard at work. Oh, the garden he did with Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden. You know, God walked with you through the garden. You know? Yeah. He got in there, he got his word in, he believed. Turned sick.
Well, I think the saddest part about it, class, is as much as we studied the Old Testament, see how God did with man and so forth and so on, that God is still the same. God never changes.
God don't change.
God never changed. God didn't hate something back then and he like it now. You know, so we can read that and learn from what we read, but still now, you know. Man is man. Man is man. If you think man has changed, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in today. You wouldn't have this country fooling with same-sex marriage and all these crazy things. History reports, man. History, what's the word I'm looking for, Jan? Repeats, myself. History repeats itself. And if you ever read about the Romans and the Greek, you know that's wrong. You know, and this is what they believed in. They had these little boys and all this other kind of craziness, and we gotten just like them.
Well, you know, it's just like what the gospel that was read, but, you know, it repented God at the time of Noah that he had made man because there was evil continually in the world. And like he said, is the world any more evil today than it was back then? No. Basically the same thing today as it was then. You know, people just do not learn. We read history, but we don't learn from history.
It was saying it can't happen to us.
It happened to us in a worse way. In the ending of the last part here, class, it says, all people of the earth belong to God. But Israel's relation to him was special. They knew God. In other words, they saw what God did for them. God told them how much he was going to take care of them. See, we read that, but they saw it, and they experienced it, and yet and still it went astray. Moses called the elders, Exodus 19:7-9. Someone read, please.
Before Israel could truly cement their covenant relationship as God's special treasure, they had to agree to God's terms. Therefore, Moses came and called for the elders of the people and laid before them all these words which the Lord commanded. Would they agree to obey God and remain faithful to him? The unified response declared they would. Reporting this, Exodus 19:8 states that all the people answered together and said, all the Lord has spoken we will do. So Moses brought back the words of the people to the Lord. They did not commit to obeying some of God's commandments. They committed to obeying all of what God said. Bailey regarded this as an open-ended commitment to future commandments. But Yahweh, regardless, Israel answered in reminiscence of other terminations of glory found throughout the scriptures. God responded to Israel's affirmation of the covenant by promising to provide a physical manifestation of his presence before the people. He declared, behold, I come to you in a thick cloud, and
Theophany.
In the form of a thick cloud, clearly not a pillar of cloud, and the full revelation of God is impossible. He appeared in concealed form in a cloud. See Exodus 43. The purpose was that the people thought, not seeing God, could hear him speaking with Moses, and this would serve as a confirmation for them of Moses' rule as their covenant mediator.
That word, class, Theophilus means it's a visible manifestation of a deity, of God. So that's all it means. Sometimes they'll slide one of them big words in there on you. I don't know why. I know we don't talk like that. But you got to be careful. But it's a dark connotation, you know. So, but they'll use some words and that, man, wait a minute. And when I'm studying, I put a circle that and read. Later on, I'll go in and I'll get my dictionary and I'll look at all these and see what they mean. See?
Up to that point, he had appeared to them in the pillar, and then during the day in the
Cloud at night, yeah.
pillar and the fire by night.
Mm-hmm. And when they saw that pillar and they saw that fire, they knew what? It was God. Yeah. And he never did appear to them where they could see God. That's what I'm trying to tell you. God's a spirit. No man has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son who is in the bosom of the Father. This is the first chapter of John. He has declared him. In other words, this is, you see Christ, as far as seeing God, this is Christ. I mean, this is what you see. You never see the Spirit. Huh?
People actually heard too. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, questions or comments before we move on? Nobody? Well, we not, class. God's words to Moses. Would someone read, please?
With the covenant offered and verbally accepted, God instructed Moses to prepare the people for his manifestation. He ordered, go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow. Let them wash their clothes and let them be ready for the third day. For on the third day the Lord will come down upon Mount Sinai in the sight of all people. In order to stand before the holy God, the people needed to prepare. Alexander explained, since the covenant will create a unique relationship between God and the Israelites, it is essential that the people should be holy in order to experience God's presence among them. God instructs Moses to sanctify the people in preparation for their encounter with him. The text does not describe what the act of consecration involved, nor does it explain why it was necessary for the Israelites to wash their clothes. It suggested the act could have been analogous to Moses removing his sandals before God. Regardless, they were about to stand before the Lord and had to make ready. Besides his admonition to prepare the people for their encounter with God, God also instructed Moses to warn them about drawing too close. He continued, "You shall set bounds for the people all around, saying, take heed to yourselves, that you do not go up to the mountain or touch its base. Whoever touches the mountain shall surely be put to death. Not a hand shall touch him, but he shall surely be stoned or shot with an arrow. Whether man or beast, he shall not live. When the trumpet sounds long, they shall come near the mountain." The statement reminds us of the balance existing between God and man. He is always near enough to be known, but distant enough so as not to overwhelm. Moses could approach God on the mountain, but the people had to watch from a distance. When Moses descended the mountain and revealed God's instructions, the Israelites did as they were told. They were instructed to abstain from sexual relations.
This as certified in 1 Corinthians. Y'all read 1 Corinthians 7:5. Would someone read that, please?
Do not defraud one another, except with consent for a time, that you may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, so that Satan does not tempt you
He's talking about the abstaining from, that's what he's talking about here. When before, they couldn't have relationships before they went to meet God. The application of our lesson text reveals God's desire to have a covenant relationship with Israel. This is why he delivered them from Egyptian bondage. This is why he provided for their needs. Similarly, God desires to have a relationship with us today. This is why he sent Jesus to deliver us from the bondage of sin. This is why he continues to care for us providentially. Although our situation is not completely parallel to that of the Israelites, we can learn how much from what they had to do to prepare to be in God's presence. Despite God's love for them, they had to be consecrated and seek purity. Should we assume God no longer cares about our appearance? Surely preparing for worship requires more than wearing the latest fashions. The poor man is a welcome in the assembly as a rich man, James 2:1-5. Nevertheless, we should dress and have in a way indicating our reverence for God. God definitely deserves our best.
Thought. When we see the Israelites, how they washed themselves and everything before they became in the presence of God, how do we relate that to our baptism?
How do we relate it to our baptism?
Because what happens to us through baptism?
Sins are washed away, you mean? Yeah.
But who do we become in the presence of when we go through the water?
Yeah. Christ.
It's basically about almost the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. We are, today, class, if you compare us to the people of Israel land, we got it made. We just don't know it. Man, they had to do things that we haven't even thought of. You see, God, they went through all this thing, yet God would make things better for us. And I think sometimes because, if you've never been where you were starving or really hungry, you don't know what it's about. So you just throw food away. We just eat. Man, I'm serious. If I tell you some of the things we went through when we were kids and what we ate, it's what people threw away. Man, we ate fish bellies, fish heads, all that. Made what they call courtbouillon with the people threw the head away. My daddy would go to French Quarter and bring it back. We ate that, man. People didn't even know that. That's why when That's why I brought him some fish one day. I took my time and cleaned them and tenderloined them and said, Bobby, he said, don't clean them fish like that no more. You're throwing all the meat away. That's fine with me, Dad. But I'm just saying how blessed we are, class, really. And sometimes I don't think we even realize it. But thank you. You did good today. At least we had some comments. Next week, hopefully,